Do you know someone who is functional on the outside, but fractured on the inside? Protesting. Is it changing anything? Let's start thinking differently. If protests really worked, there would be visible change. We are still protesting. There has been no change. Actually, things have been getting worse. Why? Because when we are anti something, whatever we are anti has to exist. Healing with the Rev podcast is going to bring you comfort, build community, and give you some inspiration to move forward. Pro peace. For those of you who are old enough to remember who Mother Teresa was, Mother Teresa during the Vietnam War was asked to come to an anti-war rally. She said, I will not be there, but when you have a peace rally, invite me, I will come. She understood the difference between anti whatever and peace. So let's be for peace. And peace does not mean sitting on your butt doing nothing. It's very active. I'm Reverend Teresa Heipel. I am your host of Healing with the Rev podcast. I have lost loved ones to death. I am here to honor your faith tradition, and here you can find peace, calm, and clarity. Peace starts with community building, one person at a time, standing for something rather than against something. When we stand for, we're taking a stance for what we want. Anti-war, anti-ICE, or whatever is going on today as you are listening to this, whatever we are anti really does have to exist. We're giving power over to whatever it is we are wanting to not exist. If we want to abolish something, we need to be pro whatever that is. For this, we want pro peace. We want to be for peace. I don't think anyone would argue with me about that, but they haven't changed their mindset from something negative to something positive. So let's build something positive in this world. Peace building starts with faith. Whatever your faith is, whether it's Christian, Jewish, Islam, or anything else, I say have a faith in a higher power somewhere, because life gets difficult. And when life gets difficult, sometimes we don't know what to do with that. Building with faith, people are coming together. They're learning together. They're expounding their beliefs. They're expounding justice. And aren't we all wanting social justice? Seriously. Drum circles. It's a great way to release pent-up emotions. At my church, we have a drum circle. And when I go there, I can pound on the djembe drums, as you'll see on this picture. There's a lot of djembe drums. It's a great way because you can come up with your own rhythm and you can come up with your own chant in your head. It's pretty awesome. The podcast format, we're going to have real stories. I'm probably going to be talking more than doing interviews. I have a lot of experience in a lot of different things. I'm going to give you some practical tips and some uplifting interviews as we go along. Expressions of heartache, honoring our pain. This woman is feeling the weight of her loss. Whatever that loss is, she is not sure she wants to face reality. Sometimes reality is really difficult because reality is not someplace where we want to be. But we are here and we are now. And if you're listening to this, you're paying attention. So you are present in this moment. She appears to be afraid to see what is in front of her, whether she lost a spouse or a friend or a child or lost a job, gone into retirement, doesn't know what to do with her time. There's so many different kinds of ways of heartache, so many expressions of heartache. And whatever you're feeling, know that you are in great company and everything you feel is all good. And so I would ask you to continue to watch these podcasts because they're going to be informative. Some of them are about loss of some sort. Some of them are about these protests and peace and how we can move forward. Honor yourself by doing what is right for you in the moment. Everything is an inside job. Today, I want to talk about something that may sound simple on the surface, but when you really sit with it, it changes everything. Everything is an inside job. Everything we feel, everything we think, everything we react to, everything we need in our lives. It all begins on the inside. Now, when people first hear that, sometimes they feel resistant because it can sound like we're blaming ourselves for what happens in the world. That's not what I mean. The world is complicated. Things happen that are painful, unfair, and deeply challenging. But what I am talking about is our internal relationship to what happens, our nervous system, our beliefs, our emotional patterns, our energetic state. All of that shapes how we experience life. And more importantly, it shapes what we create next. We were all conditioned. When we come into the world as children, we are open, completely open. We are learning how reality works by watching the people around us, our parents, teachers, religious leaders, the culture we grow up in. And here's the most important part. Most of the time, those people were simply repeating what they were taught. They weren't trying to deceive us, but they were passing down beliefs, fears, and ways of seeing the world that had been handed to them, sometimes for generations. It's a little like the telephone game many of us played as children. One person whispers a message, then that person whispers it to the next, then the next. By the time the message reaches the last person in the circle, it barely resembles what was originally said. Generational beliefs often work the same way. Ideas about success, ideas about fear, ideas about safety, ideas about what we're allowed to be. These messages become embedded in us before we even have the ability to question them. And over time, they become our internal operating system. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the body remembers everything, and we're going to move on from there. Let's pause here for just a moment. This is what I call the steady moment. A pause to remember that peace in the world begins with peace inside us. One thing I've learned from working with people over many years is that the world does not become peaceful through more reaction. It becomes peaceful through more steadiness. When your nervous system is regulated, your thinking becomes clearer, your decisions become wiser, and your presence alone begins to influence the people around you. That's the work I do through what I call steady by design. I help people regulate stress, restore clarity, and return to peace, both in their bodies and in their lives. Because when we become steady inside ourselves, we stop reacting to chaos and begin creating stability in the world around us. And that is where real peace begins. Book your discovery call using this QR code. Now, let's continue. Welcome back. The body remembers everything. Here is where things get really interesting. Your body remembers everything you've experienced, every stress response, every emotional suppression, every belief you had to adopt just to belong. Your nervous system records those experiences, and over time, those patterns start running automatically. That's why people often say things like, I don't know why I react this way. I don't know why I feel stuck. I don't know why nothing feels aligned. Often it's because something inside of us learned a pattern a long time ago, and that pattern has been running ever since. The energetic body. As an energy healer, this is something I see very clearly. Our physical body is only part of who we are. There's also an energetic body. And when people come to me, what I often sense is where that energy has become blocked, distorted, or misaligned. Sometimes it's stored emotion, sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's a belief that has been held and carried for decades. When that energy gets stuck, people feel it in different ways. They may feel anxious, disconnected, exhausted, out of alignment, or they simply feel like something in their life isn't working. When we work with energy, whether in person or remotely, we are not forcing anything. We're simply helping the system remember how to return to balance. And the reason remote work can be effective is because energy isn't limited by physical distance. Energy is everywhere. It's the field we are all living inside. Why so many people feel disconnected right now. If you look around the world right now, many people feel unsettled, overstimulated, emotionally exhausted. Part of that is because we live in a culture that constantly pulls our attention outward. News, social media, conflict, noise. But the deeper issue is that many people have moved far away from their core self, the quiet place inside where clarity lives, where peace lives, where your own inner knowing lives. When we lose connection with that place, life can start to feel chaotic because we are trying to navigate the world using other people's beliefs instead of our own internal guidance. The power to rewrite the script. The good news is this: none of these patterns are permanent. Just because something was taught to us does not mean we have to carry it forever. We can question our beliefs. We can regulate our nervous systems. We can release emotional patterns that no longer serve us. In other words, we can rewrite our script. Isn't that exciting? But rewriting the script doesn't happen through force. It happens through awareness, through slowing down enough to notice what is actually happening inside us, through reconnecting with the body, through calming the nervous system, through remembering who we are underneath all of the conditioning. Peace begins within. One of the things I often say is that peace is not something we find in the world. Peace is something we create inside ourselves first. And when we become steady inside, our decisions change, our relationships change, our influence in the world changes because people can feel the difference. A regulated nervous system is powerful. A peaceful presence is powerful. And when enough people begin doing that inner work, something remarkable happens. The external world begins to shift as well. An invitation. If you've been feeling out of alignment, if something in your life feels stuck, if your nervous system feels overwhelmed by everything happening in the world, it may not mean something is wrong with you. It may simply mean your system is asking to come back into balance. And that's the work I offer people, helping them reconnect with their center, helping their nervous system reset, helping their energy return to alignment. Because when we come back to ourselves, everything begins to change. Remember, everything is an inside job. And the moment you begin working from the inside out, you begin reclaiming your power. If you have enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, and subscribe here. Your follow and subscribe allows me to make better quality content for you. I will bring in guests on occasion. If this message resonates with you, I bring the Steady by Design framework to organizations, communities, and events that want to lead with clarity instead of reaction. I'd love to continue the conversation.